In today's workforce, we are seeing a new breed of employees because guess what? They say, statistics, by the way, says that two out of every three employees are millennials or they're Gen Z, right? And so guess what? These are the class of workforce who are the forerunners of the great resignation. I mean, if I can pull your memory a little bit, right after COVID, we noticed that there were people who were just leaving their jobs. They said, listen, I choose peace of mind over this.
Yes.
I would rather not have a paycheck, but be okay. And they left. And they are also the ones who are pretty much dominating the social media era. They're all about, we call them the AI natives, right?
They are the digital native, the social media and AI native. And it's so interesting that 2 out of 3 employees are either millennial or Gen Z. That means we have entered the digital workforce, and these people, they are not afraid to quit their job.
Not at all.
And they are the one that spearheaded the great resignation. The people who leave their job without having another job,
They have no plan.
they have no plan. They are the soft life era.
Oh, I know. I don't want that to sound as though we don't agree with soft life. I would welcome some soft life, but we're just saying, when you look at our forerunners, they would think that, because I'm a millennial, you're a millennial, they would think that the millennials and the Gen Z are crazy people. And so what I find is a lot of my consultations are being taken up with leaders, with company owners who are saying, listen, how can I get to these people who think differently? And that's what we're going to be talking about today in this 7th episode. The Designers of Change podcast is proudly sponsored by Jace Myrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, and Vibrant Creative Studios. So, Mr. Wright, I know this was one of those topics that you were saying, boy, you know, babes, we need to do this one.
Yes.
And it's timely.
Because we have been in so much organization, and we have seen the Gen Z emerging. They are now leaders. The millennials, they are now the Gen Z, they are now leaders. They are the digital natives.
Right.
Yes. They are not our grandmother era. They are not in sending letters.
Not at all.
A matter of fact,
my grandmother still writes letters till this day to people that she has never seen, and she knows their story well. Every time she's like, oh, I have to, can you take this to the post office for me? And I'm like, who is this for?
No.
And she'll tell me a story about how she met the lady 40 years ago where she used to work. We don't do that anymore.
No, we don't do it. This is the generation that will quit their job for any and everything. And we are in the digital era. They will quit their job and they will go on TikTok, because they will tell you that they probably can make more money on TikTok.
So I have a question, because I would like for our thought to translate to our audience the way we want it to. But isn't that true? Isn't it true that I can set up my tripod, I can sit and I can be on TikTok all day and I can possibly make my salary for a week? Isn't that true?
Yes. And that is one of the reasons why the Gen Z and the millennial, the old school, they're having a difficulty in leading these new workforce, because we are now in a digital era.
Right.
And these generation, I am a millennial, Jace is a millennial, Jace team is a millennial, Tony is a millennial.
We're millennials.
And so the generation below us, they are Gen Z. No, we grew up on Facebook. But this generation, they grew up on another social media platform.
So the
not
TikTok,
only that,
the X, all these different ones.
But not only that, but they are growing up on AI.
Yes.
And so they think differently. They see things differently. My grandmother never grew up in this era. My grandmother was hard work, they were robust. This generation is they are different. They are a thinking generation, and they know to throw mental health into that.
Right.
Digital plus mental health, because mental health is one of the buzzword right now.
Right. And
Before
mindfulness
COVID,
and everything else.
So before COVID, there was no people were into the but once it 2020, the mental health comes into play. And so there are two things that are affecting the old school type of leader: the mental health and the digital era.
Okay.
And you have seen that as a consultant.
Absolutely. I see it all the time, and it creates such a divide.
Yes,
because
it does.
you will have young people who they have the capabilities and they know what they're about, but there's certain soft skills that they lack because again, they were brought up on, watching TikTok. They're on watching videos. And what I've learned also is that as human beings, our creative process has shortened. We can no longer focus as long as we really should, right? Everything is shortcut.
Yes.
Like the other day, went to a friend's house and she had, what's that thing called? What's a shark?
The sharky?
The sharky.
That
And I
can
know it
clean
sounds
house.
strange, but in the traditional Jamaican home, we don't have sharkies. We don't have those things.
Yes.
We have. By the way, guys, Courtney behind the camera is looking like, what is a sharky? Somebody tell him what a sharky is.
It's a sharky is for those who it's a round device that you probably throw water in or something.
It cleans the
and
house.
It cleans the house.
The
It
floor.
bounces from one place to
Yes,
another. Yeah.
yes. And so in our home, though, Courtney, in our home,
We use mop.
We use our mop and brooms. And
Yeah.
in fact, our parents will tell us with great pride, you better learn to clean this place, right? If you're a female, they're going to tell you can't get married and not know how to cook and clean and do these things. If you're a male, they'll tell you you can't be going out there saying you're going to get a wife. You need to learn to do these things for yourself as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just cultural difference. It's just the way the different generations are moving.
Yeah.
So the divide is great. So when I'm in these organizations and sometimes I hear the complaints, I can understand because I think as millennials, we're smack dab in the middle of both.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say this point. The generation now, millennials and Gen Z, they're not taking, just do as I tell you to do.
No.
They're saying, hey, I will do what you do.
Yes.
You need to walk the walk. They're holding you accountable. They're asking some really deep questions.
Yes.
Right? And when they're in the workspace, they want to feel appreciated. They want to feel as though you're listening to them. And they're not staying in a job that they don't feel valued.
Yes. And so one of the reasons why we have such a high turnover or there's such difficulty with the old school leaders leading the
traditional. We can say
traditional leaders leading these two generation of leaders. Not only we are in the digital era, not only are we in the mental health space that once something so harsh, they leave because of their mental space, mental break. But we're also in a generation where entrepreneurship is also a buzzword.
Yeah, man.
And so these people, they are more into being an entrepreneur than sitting up under a leader who they think do not value them.
Right.
And so they leave the workforce so easy. No, there's a statistic that say a millennial and a Gen Z will change their career 17 times in their lifespan.
Boy, I don't want that to be me.
Let me say it again.
I don't have the mental space for that.
Our grandparents, they stay in one work for
40 years. Yes.
And so we are now in an era where they are saying that a Gen Z and a millennial will change their career time 17 times within their lifespan. And so they are not staying because it is so easy now to start a business, to be an entrepreneur. There's AI, there's TikTok,
and
there's
let's be
social.
honest, the online opportunities are great, and there's money to be made out there.
Yeah.
And so I think that these two generations that we are highlighting have garnered the skills in finding these opportunities
Yes.
that our foreparents were never interested in. All right. And I like to tell my daughter, she's only 11 years old, but she's a creative. I mean, like she is me on steroids in terms
Yes.
of how creative her mind is.
Yes.
And so she's already into making her YouTube videos.
videos.
She edits like a pro.
Yes.
Right? And I don't have a problem with saying to her, I mean, this is something that I want you to hone. Because I know that it will open great doors for her if she continues. So let us not act as though the opportunities aren't plenty out there.
Yes.
So there, you know, when you have these people with these skills in the workforce and they're coming and they know they need health insurance, they know that they need life insurance and they need pension and all these different things, but at the same time they're not willing to risk it. It's not worth their mental health.
Yes.
It's not worth them, you know, being in that toxic situation. And we have to applaud these two generations for that.
Yeah.
Because our parents or grandparents would tell you that they work for people who abused them for many years.
Yes.
And they were loyal to them.
Not only that, but and to throw something else in the mix that makes it difficult for the traditional leaders. So we talk about we are in a digital era. We're talking about the mental health. We talk about online opportunity. We talk about entrepreneurship. One of the last thing that we did not mention, babes, is the work from home situation.
Of course.
People,
why would I want to drive my gas out to come to your office to sit in your environment that is toxic to my, you know, to my mental health?
Yeah.
And why do I want to look in all these people's faces?
Yes. When you can work from home.
Yes, they can work from home. And you know, I know that was a light moment, but you do also have parents who find ways to ensure that their children are at home while they're working at home. And so it's sometimes the work from home is a great trade-off for persons. And so we can't knock it. And I know in the Caribbean, they're doing their absolute best to weave this hybrid model into our system. But, you know, we do have entrepreneurs and business owners that are like, hell no.
Because when you look at that, we have gotten a number of people looking job and they will message you on LinkedIn and they say, do we have anything? Do we have anything from work from home?
As
they don't want to come in.
And you know, it's so prevalent that when I'm putting out my ads, it's in the first line. So they know, because I know my inbox is gonna be filled because everybody's asking, is this hybrid? Do I work from home? Because that's something that they're tapping into and they say, okay, well, I have the space. I can go exercise during my lunch break. I can take a nap during my lunch break.
They can go on vacation. They can go on vacation. You can be at the airport. A matter of fact,
well, not everybody is gonna be happy about that.
And so they want the flexibility. They don't want to come into the office. They want to know, yes, I can be on a flight 31,000 feet in the sky, connect to the plane
have Wi-Fi, and
I'm
I
at
can
the
do
office.
the work.
I'm at the office. I do not want to be confined to an office space.
Absolutely.
So when you throw every factor into the mix, these are the digital natives, online opportunity, entrepreneurship is the buzzword, online opportunity, and work from home. Then you can see why
they
a
choose
high turnover,
right.
and you can see why their umbilical cord is not attached.
No, that's cut. Let me tell you,
to the workplace.
It's definitely not where you know, our forefathers' umbilical cords are. So you know, just hold that thought. We are going to pay some bills, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how you know, you can actually lead these groups of generation. Because guess what? Sooner or later, they're going to take up the entire workforce. So stick and stay, guys. am a proud millennial. I don't care what anybody else says. And so when I'm doing my consultations and they start complaining about millennials, I in the middle of that, I raise my hand and say, listen, you're talking to one. So I know, what demands are looking like in today's workforce. But we have been having an engaging discussion about how do you lead, right, the AI natives, the people who are savvy, most savvy on social media. But, we want to give a great shout out to our wonderful sponsors, because Designers of Change podcast would not be possible without Jace Mary Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, and Vibrant Creative Studio. So, I like to tell them, like right in the middle of them talking about, the millennials, this and that, we don't know what they want. I say, hey, I'm one. I'm one, right? But we now want to talk about how do we lead this very unique and dynamic workforce.
Oh, and we have to start out with purpose and vision, because every single human being want a sense of purpose.
Belonging, right? You belong to something. You're going somewhere.
Purpose. Recently I was reading something, babes, and we have to let us spend a little time on purpose here, because if you're not leading this generation with purpose and vision, they are not going to stay.
They're going to tell you they're not staying.
They are not going to stay. They will quit in a flash, because they are the one who lead in the great resignation. They will quit in a flash and go and watch Netflix. There's a statistic that came out recently, and it said that 80% of all affairs begin at the workplace. And it was a shocking discovery. They say 80% of all affairs begin at the workplace. And they say, why? And they say the number one reason why the affairs start is because of a sense of purpose. Yes, it says a sense of purpose, because many of the affairs that when they are with your spouse, there's no sense of purpose. But when they come to work, there's a common purpose that they share together, and they work together. And so it was a time spent and the purpose they share together. So here's the thing: where there's no purpose, does it make sense? Where there's no purpose for these Gen Z and millennial, they are going to leave,
right?
Because it's a sense of purpose that makes them feel they are belonging to.
And this thought is completely off topic, but when you put it like that, it is also explaining why there are more divorces among millennials and Gen Z, because if they don't feel like we're going anywhere, they are literally saying, I don't care if we just got married, we need to get divorced, because what is this?
Yeah, so as a leader, you have to lead the Gen Z and the millennial with purpose.
Okay.
And then the second one with purpose and vision, you must have a vision. Where am I going?
Right.
Where am I going with this? They are not going to come to work and there's no purpose. There's no vision.
They don't see it.
They don't see where they are going. And so if they don't see where they are going to quit, and they are going to jump on something that makes sense for them.
Right.
They want to know that what I'm doing give me a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and what I'm doing, it's moving me to something bigger in the future.
I can put that in relatable forms for you. So we get questions, and I'll hear the questions and I'll laugh, right? You'll hear somebody in a meeting say, so exactly why couldn't this have been like an email? Like, why do I have to sit here for 2 hours? 2 hours when you could have sent me an email on this. Or you'll hear somebody say, you didn't have to call, you could have typed me a WhatsApp or something. Because they know that there are other means of conveying your message. But at the end of the day, if they're going to spend time doing something, they want to know that that's time well spent. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing, is it?
No. And so the leader must have a sense of purpose. What's the purpose of this organization? What's the purpose of this podcast? What's the purpose of what we are doing? Why are we doing what we are doing.
Right.
And so if you go into an organization and the organization is stagnant, the department is stagnant, then the Gen Z and the Millennials, they are not going to
Millennials,
stay
right.
because there's no purpose. And sometimes a thing can grow to the point where there's no sense of purpose anymore.
Purpose has been
We are
lost.
in this, we are in the sales department. We are just making sales just to make the budget or to hit the goal. But there's no sense of purpose. One time they asked somebody, there two men were working, and they were talking about job satisfaction. And they asked one of the stone cutter, I said, what are you doing? And the stone cutter said, I'm just cutting stone. And they asked another stone cutter, he said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm building a beautiful cathedral.
So who will stay?
So who stay? The one who know that they are building something beautiful. That's
Absolutely.
my purpose.
Absolutely. I had this discussion with a colleague a few months ago, just at one of my clients, and I don't know, we were talking and he was like, Nas, what drives you? I said, certainly not the money. I can
Yeah,
tell you that. It's not the money
Yeah.
because, the money can do so much and no
Yeah.
more. Yes, you will be okay with the paycheck and still hate coming to the place.
Yeah.
But, what gives me a sense of passion and fulfillment is knowing that the persons that I'm working with has this massive vision and I can see myself helping them get that vision done.
Yes.
And that's why I show up every day smiling and
Yeah,
I'm happy.
yeah.
Right? And as a key millennial, right? That's just how we think. And so, I love that you mentioned leading with purpose and
And vision.
vision because they need to know where we're going, what it is we're doing, and where we're going. And then also a key thing that I like to tell, my clients, I say, hey, you got to bring them to the table.
Yeah.
They need to see that they're adding value
Yes.
to what we're doing. And
Yes.
so I hate the side discussions.
Yes.
I want to sit with them. I want to hear the ingenious ideas. And let me tell you, the craziest ideas are the ones that actually work.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So they have to be bringing some kind of value.
Because I tend to every single person has ideas, but what I think I probably am wrong on this, but what I realize is we live in a world right now with the Gen Z and Millennials. We are in a digital era. Ideation is so valuable. It's very difficult to progress in our world without having ideas because that is where we are now. We are in a digital landscape. And if you don't have ideas, and what we realize is that these millennials, these Gen Z, they are filled with ideas. And so if they are in an organization and you don't bring them to the decision table, they don't feel valuable. They have so much to give. And if you don't allow them to come to the decision table to give some of their idea, they may leave.
They will leave.
A matter of fact, they will leave
I'm going to start there.
to serve somebody else who pay them less because they feel valuable right now.
I
Let me
see
say it
that
again.
all the time.
Yes, they will leave and go to somebody else who pay them less because they feel valuable. And guess what? Human beings, we love to feel valuable. A matter of fact, you love the person who tend to value you more.
Yes.
And so if you're not bringing them to the table and if you are not valuing these generation, they are not.
Then you're going to be in serious problems. And I love the fact that you touch on that people are leaving for lesser opportunities.
Yes.
Like they'll leave the big name company to go to a startup.
Yes,
Because
they will
at
go
the
to-
startup, I get to be a part of the process.
Yeah, they get to be a part of something bigger.
Yes.
We love to be a part of something bigger. There was a research that was done many years ago, and under the survey was a research. They want to know, they want to find out people value and their purpose and satisfaction. And so they asked, what would you do if we were paying you $1 million to dig hole you have no idea why you were digging the hole. But at the end of the year, you get $1 million US. Versus you were paid $350,000. But you were doing something that you love. That is something bigger than yourself. That is something that add value to human being. They say, what would you choose? Would you choose the $1 million US or would you choose $350,000? And here's the shocking part about that findings. They realize that 60% of the responded choose $350,000. Now, here's the part of the research. Those who said they would have taken the 1 million, they said that we would only do that for 1 year and then use that money to do what we love.
Absolutely. And that's the nature of human beings. You know, I'm enjoying the discussion. I'm just literally swinging my legs because, well, one, because I'm short, and then two, because I'm enjoying the discussion. But these are the kinds of discussions we need to be having with our business owners or senior executives so that they understand the minds of the young people. And the final point that we want to mention, but we won't dig deep into it because we have a whole episode for that.
Yes.
Is that you have to ensure that your culture in the organization is supporting your millennials and your Gen Z. So hear me out, my Caribbean people, love you dearly, right? Especially my land of
wood and
water, right?
Yeah.
Mental days are a thing.
Yeah.
They are a thing. I have clients who have those, right? They have somehow repackaged sick days to say, listen, if it is that there is a day that you feel as though you are so burdened, you're feeling so low that you cannot make it into work, it's not abuse. You just literally cannot make it into work because you're not in the right frame of mind, then you stay home.
Yes.
Here's the thing. It's better for you to have the employee who is not in the best frame of mind stay home than to come to the office and be a liability, because the expense will far exceed that one sick day.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that we need to start looking at, have maybe you need a little area that people can take mental breaks. Maybe you need to have forums where they discuss their ideas, where they talk about how they feel, where they are appreciated, where they're awarded, where, just stuff like that. Make sure the culture is facilitating what they need to thrive.
Yes. So you need to create a healthy organization culture for these Gen Z and millennials. And not only for the Gen Z and millennial, but if you are a leader and you have team members, you want to facilitate a healthy organization culture. Because when you have an healthy organization culture, you have healthy growth. And let me tell you, most of the time, people do not necessarily leave an organization because of pay. They leave because of toxic boss and toxic organization. It's not the money. And so you need to create a healthy organization. And also the final point, you mentioned that we have an entire teaching about how to create a healthy organization. And the final point is that we live these are the digital natives. It needs to be flexible.
You have to be.
You can't be rigid. You can't be rigid. We are in a digital space. As a leader, you can't be rigid. And guess what? Anything that is rigid is going to fall, because we have seen this in hurricane. Trees that are rigid in hurricane, they fall.
The biggest trees,
they fall because they are rigid. And we have seen coconut tree.
They're still there.
They weren't rigid. They were flexible. They were able to sway. They are anchored. But guess what? They swayed with the time.
Absolutely. Flexibility is so important. So important. Because guess what? For the love of God, there's a thing called consideration. There's a thing that says you can use your mind and be reasonable. And so I just love this discussion. Again, the Designers of Change podcast has been brought to you by some amazing sponsors, and we want to just give them a warm shout out. Thank you to Jason Myrie Media, Thank you to Mind Food International. That's our baby, right?
Yes.
Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, also to Vibrant Creative Studio. And of course, if you are out there and you would like to sponsor this amazing podcast that's influencing change in a positive way, feel free to give us a call, a text, email. You'll find us, and we will look forward to partner with you as long as our visions align. But again, this is Natassia and Jamar, right? Signing out from episode 7.
Episode 7, yes. Go and subscribe for us.
Yes, subscribe on YouTube and find us on Instagram and everywhere else. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us for the Designers of Change podcast. Join us on the next episode.